Welcome to the Law Shit You Should Know podcast. We're here to talk a little bit about the law
and a whole lot about nothing. Every week, we have a new guest to discuss current events, legal drama, and dive even deeper into
the Law Shit You Should Know.
Awesome. Welcome back, everyone, to Law Shit You Should Know with your host, Elina
and Leslie Marenko.
And today we have the amazing Daniel Izquierdo with us. Hi,
Wow,
Danny.
super
Hey,
like
guys.
Daniel Izquierdo.
Daniel
I know,
Izquierdo. I can say that right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, guys.
So, Danny, tell everybody who's listening what you do.
Okay. I'm Danny Izquierdo. I'm the CEO and founder of Izquierdo Law Firm. We're a law firm in Coral Gables, Miami, Florida, specializing in handling criminal defense matters for our clients. So that's a fancy way of saying if the cops knock on your door, if you find yourself being arrested, we're the firm you should call.
Love it. I love that. And Danny's done a great job for a ton of our clients, so thank you, Danny.
You're very welcome.
So today we're going to talk some current events, and we're going to talk about things people should know and stupid things that people do, and you're going to tell them how to avoid some of the stupid things that they do.
How to not make it worse, maybe?
Well, okay. So stupid things.
Tell us.
Stupid things people allegedly do.
Allegedly do.
Allegedly. Yes.
Okay.
Let's start there.
I'm writing that down.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I will use the right terminology. Thank you. All right, cool. So, what do you want to start with? What do you want to talk about?
I have a question.
Yes, go.
So what are like the penalties for driving without a license?
Oh, God. Really, Leslie? Really, Leslie?
Just kidding. Allegedly.
Okay.
Moving on.
Definitely not the sexiest topic. Driving without a license is
that's allowed in Miami-Dade County. I have been told.
You would think, but most commonly it's a low-level misdemeanor. If the person
I'm not going to jail.
If the person is a habitual offender,
what?
then they could be charged with a felony, which typically carries a maximum of 5 years in prison.
You're fucking kidding.
I'm not.
No, that cannot be.
Yes.
But you have to be a habitual offender, so not like
that
a
means I'm
one-time
caught
thing.
twice.
Right?
No,
Allegedly.
It's more than twice, Leslie. You should be okay.
Okay. How many
now.
is it?
For now.
For now. Well, but we are talking about driving, so let's talk about DUIs, one of my favorite topics. So everyone wants to know, do you blow?
Okay. So that's a little bit of a loaded question. But
Tell me.
Typically, you are better off not blowing. Okay? The reason you're better off not blowing is because if you blow, now you're giving the cops and the prosecutor evidence to use against you, right? And the mistake most people make is they go out for happy hour, they go out to dinner, they have a few drinks. Typically, your judgment is the first thing that goes when you're drinking. So somebody can think that they're fine. The reality is the amount of alcohol that they've consumed is going to produce a result on the breathalyzer that's over the limit. So as a rule of thumb, you're almost always better off not blowing because you don't want to give them evidence to use against you.
Unless you're not actually drunk, right?
Right. If you've had nothing to drink at all, and you're truly a DD,
what is it?
you're a designated driver.
Oh.
Okay. For those
That's
of us,
you. That's Elina.
those of us that go out.
Clearly, I've never been one of these DDs.
Yes. If you've had zero to drink, no harm, no foul, you're probably okay doing a breath test. Usually, if you insist or you think maybe I should blow, because the cops will kind of trick you into, well, if you blow, your license won't get suspended. What they don't tell you is that if you blow over, your license also gets suspended. So don't go by how you feel. If you insist on blowing, which I don't recommend, go by how many drinks you've had. Because a lot of people, when they're 6 deep, think they feel fine.
6 deep, huh?
But that breathalyzer is going to be sky high.
Well, but 6 deep over the period of what? Several hours.
He's like, I am not a chemist.
Don't do it.
In the lab.
Okay, so what's the legal limit?
The legal limit in Florida is 0.08.
And how many drinks, give or take?
Give or take, you're looking at 2 to 3 drinks in about an hour and a half.
For most people.
We'll have you right around that 0.08.
3 drinks in an hour is
2
drinks. Okay.
To play it safe, 2 will get you right around that level.
Got it.
But 2 drinks per hour?
Yes.
So you could have 6 drinks in 3 hours and you're good to go.
No.
I don't think the liver works that way. It did not clarify.
No, I don't think absorption works that way, no. No.
Okay, all right.
So I think it has a compounding effect.
Yes.
To an extent,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So no more than 2 drinks. And even then you're...
And even then, because here's the other one, I'm going to geek out a little bit on the DUI thing.
No, tell us.
Your mouth alcohol, so if you've had any dental work, that's like fillings and whatnot could retain alcohol.
Ooh.
The
Is this a defense?
breathalyzer,
Later.
potentially.
Potentially,
A
I
good
like that.
addition, yes.
I like that.
So dental work is a potential defense because it could hold alcohol. Mouth alcohol could give you an elevated
A higher,
reading, right? Because the breathalyzer is supposed to be getting deep lung air, right?
Okay.
That's why they tell you deep breath, blow hard for an extended period of time, so that it's more reliable. But the reality is, whatever's in your mouth, whatever, alcohol, vapors, chemicals, could also go into that machine and cause a higher than what is accurate. A higher reading than is actually accurate. I went to a training, a CLE once, where they had a breathalyzer there. They were talking about the science and the maintenance and
super
kind of how it
interesting.
works. And actually, the person that was giving that talk blew into a breathalyzer and blew zeros. And then from the stage, grabbed a beer, chugged it, and then blew into the machine. And now all of a sudden had a ridiculously high reading just from mouth alcohol. The reality is that still should have been 0 or close to 0 because that alcohol had not been metabolized in his system. It wasn't pulling deep lung
And
air.
it's not
It was
impairing
just,
him.
right. It was
Interesting.
kind of picking up whatever
So
was
far
in his
I've
mouth.
learned you rinse your mouth before you leave the bar.
Well, and one other thing, the guy on the stage has a great defense because there was no 20-minute observation period before the breath test took
What is
place.
a 20-minute
So tell us about
observation
that.
test?
It's really not an exciting topic, but
What is exciting to me?
they gotta watch you for 20 minutes?
they do. So once you're
Interesting.
arrested, you're taken to a station or a mobile breath testing unit comes. They're supposed to watch you for 20 minutes to make sure that you don't put anything in your mouth. You don't have anything in your mouth like gum or a penny, or you're not,
Because that shit
throwing
works?
up.
Like
You're not
putting gum in your
eating.
mouth actually works?
No, there's an urban legend that if you put a penny
Yeah,
under
that was
your
like this
tongue,
penny was-
and-
That's what I was like,
yeah,
does this work?
So the 20-minute observation is to make sure you're not throwing up in your mouth, you're not chewing
Sure.
gum, you're not putting paper in your mouth. It's supposed to make the very unreliable test that much more reliable, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
but
this
is
is
that
not-
always supposed to happen? This isn't like you get pulled over, you look a little whatever, they go, oh yeah, blow on this.
No, see, that's a myth.
No?
No, that's a big myth.
Wow.
But what about the stops they have where they
The
do
checkpoints?
Yeah, the checkpoints.
Okay, so you mean the highly randomized checkpoints?
that happen on the way from
Random.
South Beach back
Right.
to the city.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So to pass constitutional muster,
Sure.
those checkpoints, right? They're supposed to they direct traffic into a little gate,
Right.
like a corral almost, right? And it's 10 get checked, 10 get let go, 10 get
Oh, so-
checked.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
it's not
Some
like
So there's the
procedure.
random.
it's
Random.
not like sports
Yeah.
car, sports car, sports
No,
car,
no,
SUV
no.
this way.
No, right? It's you. The most recent case I had, which was actually one of our mutual clients, will remain nameless. On 57th and 8th Street, there was a checkpoint. It was a big task force.
Going what
Gables,
direction?
The city, I think heading east on 57th
Always
and
into
8th.
the city. Why?
Yeah.
Going
So
home?
so that's kind of how they did it, right?
Okay.
They're at the light, flag 10 cars, put them in the corral. Those get checked for driver's licenses,
Right,
signs
okay,
of impairment,
alright.
whatever. The 10 cars behind will proceed through the intersection,
Interesting.
right? Barring they don't
No,
crash
that's
into a
interesting. So when
barrier
there's
or
a checkpoint,
something.
you have a 50-50
Of being checked.
of
Yeah.
actually being checked.
Kind
I didn't
of.
know that. I thought they stopped everybody. That's interesting.
Right, because then some idiot defense attorney will go to court saying that the person, was stopped based on pretext and profiles.
Yeah,
and
driving
so
while brown.
They have to kind of randomize it a little bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what you said about hey, you look a little weird, you want to take this breathalyzer.
Yeah.
Well, so
You look like a drunk.
so that's kind of that's a little bit of a misconception because so you'll first get pulled over, hopefully for a legally justified reason, right?
Lies.
To be determined.
Lies.
Once you're pulled over, the officer is going to make some kind of observations, right?
Uh-huh.
Based on your driving pattern, then they're going to make contact with you, and then they're going to see watery, bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, and an odor of alcohol. 97%
And
of
they
all
always
arrests.
write those things down.
97% of the time, right? That's
sure.
known as the holy trilogy of
Sure,
DUI.
that always end up in the report. Yes,
Correct.
I'm sure.
Right. So once they see that, now there's reasonable suspicion that the person is DUI. They now have probable cause. Like, hey, we fear you might be an impaired driver. Please step out of your car. Now you want to talk about odds. 50% chance that person is unsteady on their feet. That also goes into the report. And then they will ask you to perform field sobriety exercises.
That's what I want to talk about. So
Yeah.
they don't always have to make you to blow.
So the blow question comes after you've already been arrested.
Oh.
So
You have to be in custody.
They can't like lean over like blow here.
Unless
you actually
you're-
have to go through this whole process.
Right.
first.
In Florida,
Understood.
in Florida, juveniles have like a .020 tolerance, so they
Okay.
get the quick
Only
trigger.
juveniles.
Right. But so for all of us, you know,
Old
adults.
people.
Responsible adults.
Right.
Old
So
people.
so they're asking you, hey, get out of the car. We want you to do these goofy.
What if you're a girl in
gymnastics.
ridiculous heels and shit?
There's
I'm
another
like,
I was about to
"Get
say,
out of
if,
the okay.
the moment she gets out of
I'm
the car,
like,
she's
bro,
tripping, whether
no,
she's
I
drunk or
was gonna
not.
say, like, I'm gonna give you some serious attitude.
Okay. So if this happens, you better hope they ask you to take your shoes off. Otherwise, we would use that as a defense.
So I want to keep them on.
Barefoot on the street.
Yo no soy pata sucia.
I don't even take them off to go to the
Debatable.
metal detector at court. I get mad when the guard makes me take them off at the courthouse. Like,
Oh, debatable. But
I didn't
anyways,
walk
yeah.
on
Okay,
Floor with-
okay, I already
So
see a
it's-
few
yeah.
defenses here.
Yeah.
I'm going.
So you're
So,
kind of
Pata
auditioning.
Sucia,
So you're auditioning for your freedom by doing this
I like
like
that.
that.
by doing this goofy set of exercises, which the most reliable one is like
Walk.
67-70% reliable, which is to follow the pen with the eyes.
Oh,
Oh,
like a.
Yeah, in a perfectly controlled clinical setting.
I'm like, follow the pump with the
Yeah,
eye.
I don't think the
Like,
side of the
right,
palmetto
right.
qualifies.
Like, you can't move your head. Can't move your head.
Oh my
Yeah.
You can't move your head.
No, you can't.
It's your eyes.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that
only your
same
eyes.
that same person that gets out of the car and is unsteady on their feet
I have vertigo.
can then stand perfectly
This is
still.
bullshit.
It is.
It is.
It's
It
voodoo
is.
science.
It's voodoo science
It
like
is.
that.
It
Voodoo
is.
science.
So now you do these goofy tests, you get arrested. Then you go to the station.
I like it. You're getting arrested.
Yeah,
Second,
then-
hold up,
then you go to the
Wait, I
station.
want to come back to the goofy test.
And
So
that's where
it's
it
the
comes.
steadiness, it's the pen one, and then
So-
what else? The touch
so
your
there's-
nose. Is
so
that
there,
one?
right.
Like
So
that.
there's 5 that they tend to use. There's 3 that come from the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration manual, as being more reliable. That's
reliable.
horizontal gaze nystagmus, which is a fancy way of saying follow the pen with your eyes.
Okay.
There's the walk and turn. That's walk the line, right? 9 heel to toe steps in this direction. Take a little stupid
9?
turn and 9
That's
back.
really hard.
And then 9 back.
I'm serious. Have you ever tried to do
But wait,
that?
there's more.
But wait, there's
Wait,
more.
there's more.
The hardest part of that walk and turn is not necessarily
The walking.
The walking. You have to stand in the instructional position for God knows how long.
I'm
which
going to
is
jail.
which
I'm going
is
to jail, guys. Let me just be
Marengo,
clear.
So look, so 1 foot on the line, the other foot in front, heel touching toe with your arms at your sides, at attention while they're giving you the instructions. So you haven't even started and you're like, it's awful. And then you do the walk and then the 1 leg stand. Right?
Okay. No,
So then there's 2
no.
others that they don't use as much anymore. That's the finger to nose one.
Okay.
And then this modified Romberg balance, which is, you know, eyes closed,
Those are
head
the
back,
easy
and
ones.
you estimate like 30 seconds. But
Those sound like the ones that are easy.
so here's the thing. So everybody wants to know, should you do a breathalyzer or not, right?
Well, we've learned the answer's no.
Yeah. Once you get to the
Unless you
breathalyzer,
really have never had training.
yeah. Once you get to the breathalyzer, you're already
You're
under
fucked.
arrest.
You're fucked already.
They're not gonna
They have a
unarrest
report
you.
this big about you can't fucking walk, bitch.
Ah.
You can't. I mean,
Ah.
you classy eye. What was it,
Okay.
Trinity?
Like classy.
Loco, I'm done
Slurred
by
speech,
that. Like,
bloodshot
slurred
eyes,
speech,
odor of
slurred
alcohol.
speech.
Well, that's funny. How do we keep the report
Aggressive.
short, sweet, and to
you
the
refuse to
point?
do any of this bullshit.
Bingo.
Da!
Hey.
Let's see. A point for being indignant about everything in life.
Right,
Well,
because
I would definitely refuse to take my shoes off.
I mean,
For real, I would.
I mean, like-
I'm telling you, I have fights with the security guards at the courthouse because I refuse to take my shoes off. I'm like, no, bitch, get the wand and wand me, but I ain't fucking walking through the disgusting courthouse floor with no shoes on. I refuse. I
I mean,
absolutely refuse.
let's be honest. They came to the side of the car. They made these observations. They're asking you to do the exercises.
They already think you're drunk.
They already know you're going to jail. They know they're
Allegedly.
arresting you.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get more
They're building
evidence
a
to support
report
the
that
case.
yes.
Right.
What about a blood test? Can you ask for blood tests?
You could ask for an independent blood
I've
test.
heard this. Don't look at me with that
Yes,
face. I've heard
you
this.
could.
I've heard this.
So like the hack, the biohack, so to speak, right? Is you refuse the FSCs, you're going to jail anyways, you go for the ride, you get to the station, here's this breathalyzer. No, I don't want to do it. But I'm requesting an independent blood test.
Right, and then it takes them another 2
At
hours.
your own expense.
Right.
But here's a phone book, figure it out. At 3 a.m, you're calling, hey, can somebody
Oh,
come give
you're
me a
coordinating your own blood
Yeah,
test.
it's at your own expense, right? Historically.
Yeah, but by the time you actually get someone down there,
Pero
it's
what
been
if
10
you
hours and
call
you're
tu
sober.
primo,
assuming somebody even
papito,
comes down.
to
Right.
come with the
Yes.
fucking, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Most of the time, they're not gonna like humor you with that.
Oh,
just
they're like-
just double refuse, like you said. If they're asking you out of the car, they're asking you to do the exercises. You're probably being arrested already. Why give them anything? Just say.
call my lawyer
Yes.
to go in jail. Like, that's it. I gotta spend the night in jail. It is what it is.
It's very subjective, right?
Right.
And in some of those, they're looking for 6 clues, 9 clues. You can do 7 of the things well.
Right. They
2
still have a report this big
2
saying, oh shit, you
clues
fucked up.
is not to standard.
Right.
So find me a test where you can perform at 75, 80% and it's considered a fail.
Especially at like 3
So-
o'clock in the morning, even if you are half sober.
Hey, you're
I have
drowsy.
vertigo.
Yeah, fuck
I
you
can't
on
be
3 in
following
the
no
fucking
pens
morning,
around.
like-
My world will start
Get the fuck
spinning.
out of here after I've been stuck in a line at a checkpoint for 30 minutes. Like, I'm annoyed as fuck already.
Drowsy
Like,
driving's not drunk driving.
Exactly. I like that. I'm gonna get a t-shirt.
There you go.
I drowsy drunk all the time, so that's real. That's real talk right there. I'm bad. Jonathan used to be very afraid of me because I like fall asleep at red lights. Like it was bad. Not anymore. I have worked on my sleep cycle.
We have an aura.
I have
right
an
now.
aura now.
We have an aura right now.
I have
That
worked
tells
on
us.
my- Not anymore. Awesome topic, Danny. Wait, so I want to come back to blood test. But is this true in every state? Do you know?
Wait, what was
or is
the
it just
biohack?
Florida?
It's requesting an independent blood test.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So-
thought you were gonna tell me to go drink
No,
5 gallons
no,
of
no.
water.
Well, because what I've heard, and again, I'm not a criminal defense,
Yeah.
but what I've heard is if you can actually get someone down there, by the time they get down there, by the
Right.
time they take your blood, you now have evidence that you're not drunk,
Right.
even though it's been like 12 hours.
Or-
But I was
or
gonna
you-
say, don't they have somebody on the other side saying, yeah, right now it's point whatever, but 12 hours ago it would have been this because your liver has
They
done
could,
X.
yeah, they could retrograde, like they can extrapolate, but we use that defense a lot too in breath cases that we actually try, because well, who cares what the breath alcohol content at the station was 45 an hour, 2
Right.
hours after. All that matters is the BAC at the time of driving.
Right.
Right, so assuming the person looks okay on the video, right, you kind of need the other facts in your
video.
favor.
Fuck, I forgot it was a video.
Yeah, because like, listen. Like,
And you know you're looking your best at 3 a.m.
as long as you don't
I'm
look
super happy about
too
this.
impaired, you're fine, right? But because if you're falling out of the car, you have vomit all
Coño.
over yourself, like it's gonna be hard to argue, well, that was 2 hours after at the time of driving.
You can have
No.
someone else's vomit on you.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I
guess,
had a
but-
client.
Why you're old?
I had a client. Real story.
Not even high. Not even high.
I had a client.
Could be someone else's vomit.
Real story. Who's a bartender? So he smelled like alcohol
Yes.
everywhere he went. And
Sure.
fucking covered in alcohol after working behind a bar. all
Yes,
night. That
yes,
doesn't mean
you
you're
do.
drunk. Gets pulled over, goes through all this fucking shit, and he had great reasons
Well,
to
but-
have vomit on.
Well,
on
but
him.
I'm
Like,
sure.
this is
No,
true.
but see, and here's what happens on these reports. This person's working.
Right,
In theory, probably hasn't drank anything, if much.
right.
Right?
Going home at 3, 4
this,
a.m.
And this
right?
happens all the time.
Looking
This-
like shit, smelling like
Looking
shit.
like shit, smelling like a bottle of vodka, you know.
Well, this is what happens. Somebody's in the car, they get pulled over, they have passengers. Oh, I smelled an odor of alcohol upon approaching the driver. Common sense will tell you, well, it wasn't him, it was the passengers. Then they'll pull him out of the car, and then they'll make sure to write, and I smelled an unknown odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from his facial region while talking to him outside of the car. So to almost to like preempt.
Uh-huh.
The
It
defense.
wasn't me, it was them.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
This is all very well rehearsed.
You know how to
I'm
write
sure.
briefs, right?
Of course,
You're a lawyer.
and cops know how to write
Of
them
course.
too.
They know how to write
Cops know
reports.
how to write them
There
too.
you go.
Wow. What about so South Florida? We have a lot of waterways, right? Not just cars. Do you deal with any DUIs on boats? I feel like people don't think about that. And there's always drunk bitches on boats in Miami.
Everybody's drunk on a boat.
But they're usually not.
We on
they're
a
not
boat,
driving
You know
the
that
boat.
song?
Yes, of course.
Wait, the fucking designated driver on the fucking boat?
No, not at
Yes.
all. Not at all.
Of course not.
So it works very similarly to a DUI on the road.
Okay.
Okay, it's the same.
Okay, who's the enforcing?
So it could be Fish and Wildlife,
Right.
which if you're gonna get
You don't know Fish and
arrested,
Wildlife? Look at Fish and
You don't
Wildlife.
fuck
with Fish and Wildlife.
Oh my god!
you know
The
people that,
protector of the birds and the iguanas?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and
what
the
fuck?
fish.
And the undersized fish and
He
the
said
waterways.
underfish.
Yeah,
The straight fucking
Fish and Wildlife
That's what
fuck
it
you up.
is.
Like, they're messed
Yeah.
up. Yeah, you don't know.
Oh,
Anyways, go on.
So all right, so Fish and Wildlife, or like the county has
Yeah.
units out on the water,
Yeah,
and it's kind of the same thing, right? You're driving, you're in actual physical control of
of a vehicle.
a vessel, a
Sure,
vehicle,
vessel.
right?
Okay.
And under the influence of alcohol or chemical controlled substances to the extent that your normal faculties are impaired. It's the same
Wow.
thing. Yeah, the jury instructions. Yeah. it's kind of the same thing. The only wild card here is you're unsteady on your feet when the boat's kind
When
of.
the-
No, so that's
So
why
Doing
what's
one of
doing what
these.
it's
and that's why I
doing.
brought it up, because in my head I'm
They-
thinking none of these field sobriety exams are
They-
going to go
they
well
actually
on a boat.
have-
Like,
They actually have a seated battery of tests.
oh.
So like they'll sit the person down and then they have to do these goofy things like with their hands and different things. Yeah, it's weird. Believe it or not, as
I feel like
unreliable
I
as the
could pass
roadsides
some of those,
are, they're probably better than the boat ones.
I was about to
Yeah.
say. So, I mean, give or take, what percentage of people actually get convicted when they present a defense to this shit?
The thing is, the boating.
Because listen,
under,
I get it.
yeah.
Let's be serious, right? Let's be serious. I'm gonna try to be serious.
Boating under the influence is a lot less common than driving under the
Because
influence.
the
Well,
wildlife
getting
people.
arrested for it is
Yes,
what's common.
yes. Let me clarify.
But I cannot imagine in Miami that
Right,
that is
yes.
true.
Let's
because
clarify.
in the world of Uber, I think a lot of people have learned to just call an Uber. But in the world of boating, everybody's fucked up on like Ellie Key drinking beers, and
Yeah.
somebody's driving back. Okay, but anyways, coming back to being serious, I get
Remember,
it.
there's
like,
less traffic and there's fewer barriers to run into
yeah, that's
on
true.
the water too.
That's true.
So less probable cause is formed on the commute home.
I
Yeah.
guess that's true. But realistic, so DUIs are a serious thing, right? People shouldn't be
Yes.
out, driving drunk. Obviously, this endangers the public, etc. However, on the other side of this, it's just so rehearsed. I mean, the police side of it is so rehearsed and seems so easy to just like get it wrong. Frankly, like
So-
it does seem very easy to get wrong.
So I'll give you a quick war story.
Sure.
In May, we tried a case up in Broward.
Okay.
Ooh,
Where-
I've heard not to get caught there. Without a license, allegedly.
The juries,
Allegedly.
believe it or not, the juries are really, really good. Juries are very fair. So we have a DUI case in Broward. We had to go to trial back in May. In that case, our client, it's a little bit complicated, but he gets into like a little fender bender. He actually ends up blowing zeros, but having marijuana.
Well, that was my
In
next
his
question.
system.
You're
Oh,
taking me where I was
wow.
going. Go
So,
on.
Interesting. I never
but
thought
here-
of that.
so-
Like you're
Yeah,
not
because driving under the influence doesn't
anything.
necessarily mean alcohol, right?
Right.
So here's like
But if,
you were
but if
saying,
you're
it's all
high, you drive
rehearsed.
slower, right? Don't you drive
Yeah.
like
Still
more
in-
carefully?
But so here's what you were
Imagine.
saying, that it's so rehearsed.
Allegedly.
So the cop gets on the scene, he observes our client,
Okay.
and there's a little fender bender, so he's trying to investigate the accident part. Our client walks up trying to talk to him, and he goes, "Go back to your car and I'll come to you now." And the other driver kind of makes a face at the cop, and the cop looks at him, just serious as can be. He's drunk as hell. The cop says that on the body cam. And then he goes and does all the field sobriety exercises, which are for alcohol impairment.
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I observed this clue and this clue and this clue and this the eye test."
Yeah.
That involuntary like jerking is only caused by alcohol. So he's building that report,
Okay.
making it seem like our client was under the influence of alcohol. And then he goes to a station, he gives a breath sample, and it's zeros. So what happens? Every time they get it wrong, well, no, you're on something. I can't possibly be
Obviously.
wrong.
I can't be wrong.
Then they call this DRE, this drug recognition evaluator, who's like a quasi-expert, to then do the same test,
To see what kind of high you are.
to do the same, right, to do the
Are
same
you
test.
coke high? Are you
But
mushrooms?
not-
Like, what are you doing?
Are you
Shroom
Right.
high.
Now that we know you're not boozing, let me
We gotta
let
figure
me,
out
let
what
me
you
see
might
what I
be doing.
see and then tie it to a narcotic.
Oh.
Right, and then he gave urine.
Wow.
And here's the thing: just because you have marijuana in your urine doesn't mean that you're impaired by
Of
the
course,
marijuana.
yeah.
Right, it
It's
stays
not
in your system for
instantly,
30 days.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
yeah, sure.
Does it really?
Yeah.
So that was. I mean, you want to talk about this is rehearsed? This is like pre-packaged
Yeah,
and
for real.
canned.
It can't
like,
be more obvious by all of what you
I
wrote
mean,
before
listen, it was-
that was
it-
alcohol
But
related.
wait, you said they
Right.
gave urine. Can't you refuse to give urine?
you can.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Why would they give urine?
because
I
they
don't
were
know.
stupid. It didn't call Izquierdo.
But there wasn't like a strategic reason. is what I'm
no,
asking.
he just did it.
So,
But that
number
was-
one,
hey,
don't
listen, it
blow.
was-
Number two, don't pee.
Yeah, right.
None
Right.
of this.
And they
Hold
can,
it in,
and they
hold
can
it in.
only get blood if there's serious bodily injury or death. Other than that, you can probably refuse that too.
Got it.
yeah.
Oh, but if
Oh,
there's
so wait,
serious-
the eye thing is
Yeah.
that your eye starts twitching or something?
So-
I thought it was you couldn't follow it. Or
No. So if our eyes get all the way over here, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna twitch because
Here I am, like trying to do
So-
one thing.
So what that test is looking for is an involuntary jerking
Oh,
prior
I never knew that.
prior to maximum deviation, right? Prior to 45 degrees,
I
which
feel like I am jerking though.
well, no, actually, I want to say about 5 to 10% of the population has natural nystagmus,
I was about to say.
and there's
I feel
about
like,
30 other reasons.
I feel like I don't have a
Yeah.
smooth like.
Yeah, no, you definitely. I'm not seeing.
He's like,
smooth
no, you
pursuit.
definitely look fucked
Yeah.
up, Elina.
No, I'm serious.
You're going
I'm
to
actually
jail.
being serious. I'm definitely the designated driver of the fucking
Every
happy
happy
hour.
hour.
Always the designated
In
driver.
every
the only
happy
one that
hour.
thinks ahead of me, so I can't
So-
get arrested. Like,
Yeah, that's.
With a license.
There's like 30 things that cause nystagmus, by the way.
Is that the technical name for this?
No, I'm worried. Now I have a health
Horizontal-based
condition. Now.
nystagmus. No, but if you drink too much caffeine, you're right. You can have nystagmus.
Oh.
If you're tired,
My
like, there's a
Facebook is
million
evidence
I'm
of how
tired.
much caffeine I
I'm
drink.
perpetually tired, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So that was a really fun case to try.
Yeah, that's
What
cool.
happened?
Not guilty. In about
Excellent!
Excellent.
In about 5
Justice
minutes. Thank you.
prevails.
That's awesome.
Well, it was a fun case to try because
Sure.
you kind of got to build up all this alcohol stuff,
Yeah,
right? With
yeah.
through cross, like it was a lot of fun. Like, hey, you did this test, and that test is for alcohol, right? Yeah, it was. And you found all these clues. Yeah, you did. Yeah, and then you build it up, and you tested for alcohol. Yeah. And what did the test say? Goose eggs, right? So it was a fun trial.
No, that's really entertaining.
It is.
I like that. I like that. That's cool. Good job, Danny. Well, you brought us to drugs. Let's talk drugs, right? Because
Okay.
number one, any new designer drugs we need to learn about that are out there? Enlighten us.
K2.
What are people getting arrested for?
Okay.
So this K2 thing, not even sure what it is. It's something that so
we're
the,
out of touch with
the
with
jails.
the-
So actually, the jails and the prisons
Okay.
have seen like a massive influx of this stuff coming in, to the point that it's making our lives a lot more difficult. Like sending,
Because people are getting caught with it.
it's being smuggled in on papers that are like hidden as legal mail. So because legal mail is sacred, right? The attorney-client
Yeah, yeah,
privilege
yeah.
and all
You
that
can't
stuff. So
open up mail.
if you send a letter to your relative in prison, corrections or the guards can open it, they can look at it, they can inspect it, and then they give it to them like in an open envelope. When they get legal mail, however, that's private for the individual,
Of course,
and the
yeah.
attorney it's
Right.
privileged.
Us too, and we put
So-
attorney-client mail,
Legal mail,
really
so
big
they'll-
on
what
the
they
outside
do
of the
is
envelope, so you
they
can
s-
open my letters to my client.
They
Yeah.
still open it.
Well, while they're in detention.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so they
I'm
op-
talking about detained.
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, whoa.
they open it in front of them.
Right. Right.
Oh.
But
And
they
then they
don't
would
read
just give it to
They
them.
don't read it. They don't. They just
So- Yeah.
like search the envelope, but that's about it.
So what, there's little baggies of K2?
No, like the actual paper
No,
is
no,
laced
yeah, yeah.
with it.
What?
Yes. So somebody.
So you gotta lick it. You gotta.
Yeah.
No.
No, they smoke it. They do all sorts of things. People are
Just
dying
teasing her,
from
I'm
it. Like it's horrible.
I'm teasing her. I'm teasing her.
Yeah. So somebody will basically put an envelope and put legal mail and send it, but it's really papers just laced with drugs that either get
Wow.
smoked.
We're back in the '70s, like dropping acid. You just put
Yeah.
you put the paper on your tongue.
I mean, but is this how it's sold on the street?
no, this is how they're
This is
smuggling
only
it.
how
that's how
smuggling
they're
it in
smuggling it.
jail.
Right. And so it's made it more difficult for us now.
Us
Legal like
criminal
attorneys,
defense attorneys.
right? So now legal mail is being opened in front of the defendant.
Oh, they're on to you.
It's
Yeah.
it's being photocopied.
That's
The originals
that's
are
bad.
being shredded, and then the copies are given to the
I thought
client.
there was now, like, you know, in the airport where they take that little wipe and, like,
Oh no, it's not that funny. No.
you know, to see if this whole thing is K2, like.
No, they're copying it, giving them
And
the
you don't
copy,
even get the
shredding the
paper.
originals.
But how can we be sure they're not reading our shit if they're copying and everything else?
That's where I see the
That's-
issue. Yeah, that's a big
I mean,
issue.
it's up to our clients.
And for us, like we have
Right.
original documents we send. That's interesting. I need to.
I mean,
I don't trust any of these
immigration
people.
detention might be different.
it is, I'm sure,
Right, the
but
county
if,
and state
but if it
corrections.
exists in the if it exists in county, it exists eventually in immigration detention.
Well, and
it
like
doesn't
immigration
always-
detention is more country club like.
It-
in some ways.
Country club. Different episode. There's levels. I'll just say
There
there's
are,
levels.
there are,
There's
there
levels
are.
of detention centers. There's levels of offenders too, right? Alleged offenders.
Okay.
Uh,
No, some might be convicted by that point.
It might be.
yeah, I mean, at least the criminal matters, yes, but there's a lot of immigration offenders that never have a criminal component to it that are still detained. But there are levels, right? Yes, some of the entry level, like all you've committed is an immigration crime, like you enter unlawfully or you overstayed. Those generally
Or you
are in
re-enter.
more, or you re-enter. Those are often in, I wouldn't call it a country club, but more country club-ish prison, right?
Okay, so
like
more-
open space
more
in the
prison-like.
middle, less prison-like for those
Okay.
people, right? I mean, they have like the open grottos with the rooms around. You have free like coming in and out.
Oh, so it sounds like the equivalent of a federal prison camp.
Correct. Yes, they're
No-
like camps. That's
yeah.
correct. They're like
Yeah,
camps.
yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, there's no fence, there's
Correct.
no bars,
correct.
there's freedom of movement as long
There's
as
freedom
you
of
make
movement
curfew.
inside
yeah.
of a certain area,
Oh,
and then there's outside hallways that are where guards are, and you can't get past those, and then so on and so forth.
Or you're be out of bounds.
Right. That's
But
what.
there's you're not behind the fence.
Yeah, that's correct. That's not all of them.
Oh,
though.
this
Now,
is like the joke of Club Fed? That's what they're talking about?
The
Camp?
federal prison camps.
Yeah. But that's not true for most of the people who have. a
Look, I mean,
record
Chrome,
or-
I've been to Chrome, right?
Yeah,
Chrome is
Chrome.
very nice for a detention center, but
Yeah.
I
I hear they have.
I
good
wouldn't
food,
go
but-
there like
I hear they have good
voluntarily.
food.
Yeah, all my detainees tell me that the food at Chrome is the best food of all the detention centers in Florida. Apparently, they have Cuban chefs.
Ay,
making
Dios
actual good
mío.
food.
Yes. And
Arroz
the,
con pollo,
I'll tell you.
papa
This is
frita.
not a reason to get yourself detained,
No.
obviously.
you know, and
but-
look, and our clients rank the county jails too,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah,
yes.
but if you go to Chrome is actually less country club ish in that they actually have like the closed cells and the
Mhm.
unlocked doors.
Right.
It's a little more prison like than the country club kind of
Got
feel
it.
of
Got
like,
it. Yeah, my immigration
I learned so much
detention
on this
experience
podcast.
is limited to Chrome.
Yeah. And we
So-
actually there are some immigration detention centers that share space with criminal facilities. So they're
Right.
like 50-50, so they're
Yeah, they're
subject
like
to all the like
Subcontracted,
hardcore, yeah.
marshal housing,
And those
yeah.
those are the worst ones because they are generally
Is it like Moorhaven?
Yeah, up
one of
north,
those?
a couple
Yeah.
up north. Yeah, the further north you get, the less immigrants there are, like per capita
Right.
in Florida, and so they actually share more space as opposed to down here where we have our own facilities. We have more than enough people to fill the facilities, but up north that's not really the case. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, we digress.
We
But
have.
coming back to drugs. I love talking about drugs. Maybe it is because I'm an immigration attorney, and there's such a big difference between immigration law and how it sees certain drugs and criminal defense and how the state sees certain drugs. And so it brings me to one of my favorite topics, which is marijuana. I love talking about marijuana. So tell me, what's up with marijuana in Florida? Have we legalized? Have we not?
We haven't legalized, but we've, I guess, strongly decriminalized. Miami for a few years now hasn't really been prosecuting low-level marijuana cases. If you get picked up for having a joint or like a little bag, as long as you got a clean record, even if they physically arrested you, you'd go to court and they'd do this, what they were calling a 60-day reset. So, hey, it's weed, it's kind of criminal, but not as much as it used to be.
We got better things to do.
Right,
Yeah.
be a good boy or girl for about 60 days,
Oh,
come
like,
back
don't
to
get
court.
rearrested.
Yeah, come back to court, and then the case would just get dismissed.
60-day reset. Okay, this is
Right.
like a diet. Like, don't do nothing stupid.
Even Broward.
It's
For 2 months.
75-day hard.
Yeah.
75 hard,
75
yeah.
hard, that's what we're doing.
Even Broward, with their new brass, their new elected state attorney, they've kind of just not really
Yeah, because
prosecuted.
Broward used to be a little tougher.
That's what I used to hear.
Right, but you don't see marijuana cases really much
Interesting.
anymore. I mean, a lot of the drug cases we're getting now are, cocaine trafficking, meth trafficking. We've seen quite a bit of recently, ecstasy, like that variety. Even cocaine, believe it or not.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah,
because Miami
it's-
was coke capital of the world.
So oddly
right?
enough,
for many years.
when I leave here, I will go do a consultation for a cocaine trafficking case.
There you go.
But you're not seeing it as much as you used to,
Interesting.
right?
Are
It's
we
more
cleaning up
meth.
our act or?
I think we've evolved.
Okay.
What
Right.
is it? Is there a shortage in Colombia? Like, what do you mean? What does
We're
that
on
mean?
to new things. We're
Again,
on
On to new things.
We're
Paper.
on to new
Making paper.
We're on to new things.
I don't know. I think from a severity standpoint, right? Cocaine is kind of going the way of marijuana somewhat. It's more recreational. It's not as big a deal, I guess. I don't know, but you're definitely
And what
going
is it
more
to be
into
okay? What is like
other
this? How
things.
much are you? Because when you say trafficking to me, I think Pablo Escobar, a plane full of
no.
cocaine.
Depends on the drug.
Like
No.
how much do you need to be?
Have you seen the high? Have you seen the
Trafficking.
sharks? The high sharks.
I
Have you seen
haven't,
this
no.
news thing that's all over the
No.
news right now?
No.
So there's this whole thing going on about how scientists think that there are a certain amount of sharks that are high off the coastal waters of Florida. They're showing like erratic behavior.
Erratic
and it's because they
sharks.
keep finding bricks of like cocaine and heroin in the ocean around Florida. I look this shit up. If you are listening to me, Google it.
Only Florida.
Legit
man.
scientific studies about this because there are erratic
The sharks are
behaviors
like-
in sharks
Yeah.
from eating drugs. That
bumping into each other.
true.
Like,
I'm not making this up.
Or swimming really fast.
I'm not
Yeah.
making this up. The high sharks.
Olympic
No,
sharks.
they're erratically
Yeah.
swimming. They're on
they-
coke.
or they do coke. They're just like 50% faster than they normally swim.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I
No,
digress.
so the
Go back to
weights,
coke.
right? So the consult this afternoon.
Yeah.
28 to 150 grams.
Oh, that's nothing.
But what is that?
That's a trafficking amount.
No,
That's nothing.
Legal. What
Subject-
does that look like?
A brick or two, maybe.
Is it this size of coke?
No,
No,
it's,
a little
it's
more.
like a brick or two.
I feel
maybe.
like grams are small.
Haven't you
Like-
ever held a brick of coke?
Yeah. So
I'm an
again,
estate planning lawyer.
so here,
My life is
Like
not
this
this
podcast has
exciting.
taken a whole other turn.
Yeah,
I'm so
so-
glad we're doing a non
Alright,
like
so Marenko,
financial.
Marenko, real quick, right? Just think of it this way: the less serious the substance, the greater the weight has to be, right?
Yeah, but marijuana's
so
fluffy.
exactly.
Right.
So
Coke is dense.
So for trafficking marijuana,
I watched Narco.
Yeah, for trafficking marijuana, it's 25 pounds or like 300 plants, and that'll get you a 3-year minimum mandatory.
Going
Then now when you're dealing-
it's federal.
No, it's state. At
there's
the
minimum
state-
mandatories
at the
in state
At
too.
the state level,
Oh,
right?
shit.
So we don't have the 3-year minimum mandatory. That's the floor
Yeah.
for the trafficking amounts. Cocaine, the floor there is like a 7-year minimum mandatory. And then, we recently handled a meth trafficking. That guy's min-man was 15 years for,
Wow.
let's say about a dozen pounds of meth or so. Right? There's a
Is this
slightly,
meth liquid?
it's like crystal. It's like a,
Oh,
it's like
that's
a
right.
solidified
Yes.
substance.
I have
Um,
seen Like, is it meant like?
yeah.
Oh,
You could explode it.
He said you could. I mean,
For those
there's
of
a
you wa-
volume equivalent.
For those of you wondering, Breaking Bad, probably the best show ever on TV. Go watch it. You can learn all about meth there.
I never saw this show.
Oh, it's
I
a
need
great
to.
show.
Oh.
I need to
watch
I
it.
need
It's
to.
excellent. It's
I need
excellent.
to. Okay, so it's in whatever crystal form, and
Right.
you can weigh that, and okay.
Correct.
Got it.
What's the craziest story you have about trafficking?
Oh God. Yeah, I feel like
I don't know. You should have given me some more prep time on that one.
Sorry. Never mind. We don't want to talk about that. But I
Maybe,
have
you know what? Maybe the meth one.
the one that we were
Yeah,
just talking
the
about.
meth one. All our client was
allegedly no.
all he was he was a networker. He was a connector. of
He was a
people.
high eye on the disc profile.
Oh man, but that's so
see,
true.
here's
What
the
does this
thing.
mean? I don't know what do you mean.
I need
Well,
to go back and
you
talk about
know,
this.
like-
Now you've engaged me. Go on.
Some cases might still be up, but I don't want to talk about it too much.
Yeah.
But somebody was kind of not happy with the amount that they were getting locally, and he's like, I know a guy.
I
Let me
know
make a
a new
connection."
supplier you might want to talk to.
Right, it's like, yeah, I really want to meet this type of attorney. I think they would help my practice.
Yes,
That's
yes.
all it was.
What we do every day.
Right, it was like a middlemaning.
Sure, middlemaning. I like that.
But apparently that's trafficking.
Interesting.
Is it?
No,
and,
but
and it was, he was actually talking to.
Did he gain a benefit from this? Was he paid a participation fee?
he gained a social benefit.
Yeah.
He made friends.
No, but the statute has any benefit?
it's
like
why-
fucking love and friendship? Like what?
Love and friendship.
No, it's trafficking.
Trafficking gay. He just said, oye, go talk to fulanito.
No, well, there's more than just go talk to
All
fulanito,
right,
but,
bueno.
but and then the crazy
My
thing
sense of
was-
justice is offended
so
right now.
it's,
What do you
it's
mean?
it's somebody he used to work with,
Yeah.
who is now working with law enforcement. And you know,
Snitch. There was a snitch.
yeah, so
Snitch.
right, there's all these
Snitches.
communications, right, and it's like it's so Miami the way they're talking to each other. Like it was a lot of, you know, at least listening to the audio was entertaining. And they actually the bust happened at a truck stop in front of the Miccosukee.
Oh,
the
so,
Mississippi Casino.
so the alleged
And
defendant
Pilot.
was there
Yeah.
making the personal introduction while the sale might have also been happening?
He made the personal connection.
The personal connection.
and then kind of just accompanied.
Uh-huh.
He came along for the ride.
Yeah, he came along for the ride.
So he was physically present at the moment when things were happening. Maybe.
Somewhat.
Maybe. Potentially.
Somewhat.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Okay.
Somewhat,
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
a crazy one.
Interesting. I had a client.
We had a reverse thing, right, where they're
Maybe.
buying. Right, the deal is to buy drugs from the snitch or from the confidential
Oh.
informant,
Isn't that
not
always the
sell
case?
them. No, you can do it
Oh.
both ways.
No, you could buy or sell. This is
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could
that's
sell
true.
or
capitalism
buy.
at its
That's true,
finest.
yeah, of
Leslie.
course.
I
You
mean,
can buy or sell. Both is
Right,
not
but that
okay.
but see that guy, that was just mere presence. Right? That guy came down with his uncle from Atlanta just to conocer a Miami. But when all the conversations were happening, he was never really present.
Okay.
So they got to an Arby's, he went to eat a beef and cheddar.
Arby's,
His uncle went into the
Arby's.
excursion.
This is a classy operation.
His uncle went into the excursion to negotiate the deal.
Uh-huh.
Right? So
For buying.
anytime anything of substance was going on,
He was eating a beef and
he
cheddar.
was kind of and a curly fry.
Curly fries. Oh, yeah, and
He
a
was-
good chocolate milkshake.
Man,
He
they
was
stopped making
minding-
potato cakes. Those are my favorites.
Okay, yeah.
sorry.
So he was just in presence in the Arby's.
He was in the
But he
car
got
with
arrested?
the uncle.
He got arrested?
He got arrested.
Why?
Because he was there
But what was the charge? Trafficking?
trafficking cocaine.
That's bullshit.
So eventually.
So trafficking is
we
merely
eventually
there's
got
a
it-
certain
That's
amount
bullshit.
more
Yeah.
than a limit.
Wait. I want to hear what
No,
happened
but
to this guy.
we eventually
Tell me
got-
you got him off.
Yeah, we eventually got it dismissed.
Okay, all right.
Right, because once a discovery
That's
comes
bullshit,
in, then
yeah.
you can show. Well, yeah, he rode down with them. Sure, he was in the car when the bust occurred because after negotiating
The transfer
thing-
already happened into the car.
Yeah, after negotiating the deal with the guy at the Arby's,
Yeah.
they then drove to a second location.
Interesting. But you know-
Mere presence is a big defense in trafficking cases where multiple people get arrested at the same time. It was really common in grow house cases, but you don't
Correct.
see grow house cases anymore because
No.
weed's almost legal. There's dispensaries.
Oh.
I honestly, I
No
gotta,
more Coral Gables mansions growing
I
weed.
feel like I just dealt with a
I
girl
have
on
to-
a case last week.
I have to admit, I've been proven wrong.
Yeah,
Because
I was about to say.
I thought when marijuana became more legalized and dispensaries required licenses and all this stuff, I was certain that people in the state, primarily in our town, would find a way to continue doing it, to circumvent or sidestep like the red tape that the government
that's
was
the
required.
Miami way.
That's the Miami
license.
way.
Why we need a license?
Yeah,
I would think that
yes,
too.
I can resolver,
I
which is
get
what I
resolver.
thought.
Ya estamos resolviendo. Like.
But you know what? It hasn't really materialized.
Really?
I really thought
People are compliant with the
Yeah,
regulations.
I was on the wrong side of that prediction, right? Some of my colleagues thought like, well, marijuana trafficking is kind of dead, and then I also thought, I don't know. Like I kind of know my people here, and they're going to be enterprising as ever, and they're going to find a way to avoid.
It's a
the
very
red tape.
entrepreneurial city. I mean, we're built on Coke money, right? I mean, let's be real. That's the history of Miami.
Supposedly, allegedly, maybe, I don't know.
No, there was like some study at some point
Yes.
that certain percentage of our $100 bills had residue of cocaine on them. So I remember this
Yes,
thing on the news.
and that there's no reason to have a Federal Reserve
True story.
sitting in Doral when
True
there was no
story.
industry here for 40 years.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and like,
True story.
really?
True story.
Right.
But
Hey.
so I have a question for you. So let's say, hypothetically, okay,
Okay.
we're sitting in a group of friends and someone pulls out
And I'm going to Arby's.
a lot of drugs, whatever fucking drugs you
Go
want.
to
Pick your
Arby's.
drug. I don't care.
Get out of there and go to Arby's.
And I decide to share because I'm a high on the district file.
She loves
Right.
to connect.
And I like connecting. I'm a networker. And we all decide to share around a table of 10 people. I haven't sold you drugs. I didn't.
You
I'll
gifted me the
I
cocaine.
didn't cultivate them. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not trying to buy. I'm just sharing. I'm distributing, technically, right?
Possession with intent
Am I
to
still fucked?
distribute.
I'm still fucked.
So there's no min-man for possession with intent,
Okay.
right? That's reserved for the trafficking,
Okay.
But
generally.
what if
But
she
yeah,
had a brick? Now she's trafficking, giving it to
If
the rest
she's
of
No,
us.
the
just sharing
quantity doesn't
samples.
know. I'm sharing.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Love and affection, like
Yes,
you say.
love and affection.
Right.
I mean,
Friendship.
look, if you came to my office and that was your case,
Right.
let's say you were charged with trafficking, I'm hoping to get you down to possession with intent, ideally, maybe just simple possession,
Nice. Okay.
right? Because you weren't really trafficking.
I was just being a good guy.
You were sharing,
I was
right? And if you were
And Leslie will
charged,
sign an affidavit and testify at
Yeah.
trial that
And-
Alina's just
and
a
if you
very
were-
generous
This is
person.
who I am.
and if you were charged with possession with intent, let's go for simple possession.
Coño.
Like the bricks
like
on the
it.
table, you're getting a piece. I mean,
It was just, it's
So
like
as long
when
as
you bring
there's
a
no,
bottle
there's
of
no,
wine to
there's
the
no
party. Everybody
like
drinks
money,
the wine.
financial benefit. You can show there's no financial purpose.
chances are that's may start as a trafficking.
Sure,
But again, there's context.
but then
right?
you
If
hire
kick-
Izquierdo.
I can't promise,
Nobody says
What's
you're
that
promising.
disclaimer? Past results don't guarantee
Yes,
future or whatever.
of course.
But right, so if they kick the door in, and it's a party, that's one thing. If you're a known trafficker and they kick the door in and they kind of
How
cut
do you
you
establish
sharing,
that I am a known trafficker?
Oh.
What do you mean you've been in the database in Miami-Dade
Chihuahua.
County for like
Hey,
20 years?
Chihuahua.
Okay. I have a problem.
Everybody
with that, right?
knows.
Because
The
everyone's
informant.
in the fucking database. Okay, like this is like telling me that one of my clients is in the gang database.
She's
Like
like,
get the fuck out of
everybody's
here.
in the
If you're from
database.
Central America, you're on the fucking gang database. Okay, like that's bullshit. That is bullshit. That is how the cops work in this world, at least in my world. Okay, if you are Hondureño, Salvadoreño, Guatemalteco, I mean you are on the gang database because you look like a gang member to the police,
Yes.
and that's it. So that's bullshit. I don't buy that for a fucking second. Okay,
Well,
like,
and Chiva establishes that you're a known trafficker.
I see.
I did an FBI
The
check on
informant.
myself once. Have you ever done an
I
FBI
have
check
not.
on yourself?
No.
You should fucking do it.
Oh God.
How do you do an FBI check
You
on
fingerprint. I do it in my office all the time for clients to get their background and shit. And so you can fingerprint yourself and then send out FOIAs to see what's in your file. Fascinating.
I would be horrified. I'd be fucking
Fascinating.
horrified.
I don't know that I want that.
I don't think
It's
so.
fascinating. I highly recommend to anybody listening. Anyways, I digress.
Wow.
Yikes.
I would be very concerned about what the government has on me.
Fascinating.
Like,
It's
what do they?
Exactly.
Yeah. Why? Why do they know this?
Like, I
I'd
haven't
be
done
very,
anything,
very,
but
yeah,
what
yeah,
do you
exactly.
have?
But
Right.
did you want to know?
I think I'd be horrified.
So you'd rather live
I
in
think
just
I'd be
denial?
horrible. I'd become like one of these conspiracy theorists off the grid or
You're
something.
gonna hide papers
right?
in your bathroom? Is that
Like
what we're
people
gonna
will
do?
accuse me of being a
You're
Republican.
gonna hide
after
legal
that.
documents in your restrooms? Is that what we're doing?
Oh my god, that sounds awful.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. Well, okay, so I mentioned the papers in the bathroom, so we got to talk about Trump, right? You can't leave without talking.
We had
about
two
Trump.
segues there.
I
We had two
Wait, what does
pukey
the
radio
paper in the bathroom
segues
have
there.
to do with Trump?
We had the Republican reference and the papers in the bathroom.
But what is the papers in the bathroom?
Oh, Leslie.
Oh my God, the papers were being
It doesn't have
flushed.
K2 on
Okay,
it.
just hold on. You gotta
No.
tell Leslie the news because she lives in this
Okay.
bubble that is called.
You
this
remember,
office.
I work
Yeah.
too many hours, 7
yes,
days a week.
yes.
And
So why are the
I heard
papers?
Trump got arrested, but
Yeah,
He has, kind of.
I mean, he turned himself in. He didn't even
Multiple
get arrested,
times.
right?
Well, he did. That's being arrested.
Oh, well.
He self-surrendered.
He self-surrendered.
You still get arrested whether you take yourself or they take
Yeah,
you.
but then you leave.
Yeah, you bond
Yeah,
out.
he wanted out. I mean, what was this,
Innocent-
a 2-hour problem for him?
I mean, it was great news.
Innocent until
Great
proven
publicity
guilty.
is what it
You
is.
ever heard of innocent until proven
Yes,
guilty?
of course.
People get
Everyone.
The
pretrial release.
cornerstone of our justice
That's the
system.
cornerstone. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like he got, in my mind, arrested. It's like somebody came and fucking got you, bro.
You
Like,
wrong. I tell my clients this every fucking day. When they get a citation to go to court, like, I ain't arrested.
I ain't arrested.
That's an arrest, bitch. Like, that's an arrest.
Yep.
Anyways, coming back to Trump.
So
We
he's
gotta
been
talk about
arrested.
Okay, so in Florida, in the Southern District of Florida, he was charged in the classified documents.
Well, he was to clarify for Leslie. He's been arrested multiple times
Right.
now in multiple states.
Right.
But let's talk about Florida.
So in Florida, he was arrested for like classified
For different
documents.
things.
Yes. Obstruction of justice, because he had all these classified documents that he
Allegedly.
couldn't have in his
For the last
possession.
4 years, yes.
Right, and I think some of them were found in a bathroom at
They were-
Mar-a-Lago.
no, the pictures are epic. You gotta Google this. There's like stacks
Papers-
of documents inside bathrooms of
Right.
Mar.
Papers were flushed,
Mar-a-Lago.
allegedly.
What do these papers have on them?
Some Mar-a-Lago employee is now also
The conspiracy
has
with
also
Putin?
been
Like, what is he
indicted.
flushing?
Nuclear secrets, like
Oh,
all sorts of
excellent.
stuff,
Oh, wow.
allegedly.
Okay,
right?
allegedly. Allegedly.
But
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So he's charged with obstruction of justice, possession of classified materials, all this.
Why
good
does it
stuff.
sound a little too much like the Hillary emails? Like, is this for real? Like, oh, she had bad
Yeah, the
emails
yeah,
on
the
her fucking phone or
yeah, the
whatever
federal-
bullshit.
And we
The
were
federal-
very concerned about the email.
I was
federal-
all very concerned about the
Yes, the federal
emails.
indictment
Yes,
is real.
He
Yes.
said, no, but I mean, like, he had documents like these documents.
What?
I am no lover of Donald Trump, for the record,
Right.
but I'm a little. What I mean, this is all sounding a little Hillary email-ish. Go for it.
No, these are classified documents that
Okay.
have
Nuclear codes.
Nuclear codes. You decided
national
he wanted a
secrets,
copy
yeah.
of, just in case.
Even though he was no longer
I
president.
know. What do you want them for? But
Wait,
all right,
well,
I
it
know.
depends.
Because
It
he's a
depends
hoarder.
what post.
He's a hoarder.
Here's where
Just data gathering.
look. Here would be my. I would have difficulty defending him or somebody like him because I was about to say, depending on
Why?
what press conference, what Truth Social message, what tweet that day.
This clown told
Those
everybody he
documents.
had them. Is that
Well,
what
no,
you're saying?
well,
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
on, hold
This
on.
clown.
Right, here's the problem. Like, I declassified them because I could do that as president,
Oh wow.
but I didn't really have them. But they were planted by the
I
FBI.
mean, all those things could
But-
potentially be true.
Whoa.
I mean, maybe he should have put.
Well, you can't
that on
declassify
Twitter.
something that you don't have.
Hold on. They cannot all be true at the
I
same
didn't
time.
have them. If I did,
I declassified them.
declassified them.
And if I didn't
What is
get
the
to or
famous-
have the ability,
the
then they
famous-
were planted.
What is the famous Bill Clinton line? Like, I did not have sex with that woman.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, comma, Miss Lewinsky. We're quoting
Wow. And I quote.
I mean,
You were like 2 when that happened.
I know. I was about to say we just threw back on our age.
Yes.
Real bad.
Oh.
For real, man. You're younger than me.
We just like lost half our audience for the
No.
record. Like, we old.
Hashtag we old.
Anyways, but he's indicted in other states for other things, right?
He's indicted in Washington, D.C. with basically inciting the insurrection, the
Right.
January 6th thing.
Okay.
He was in.
There's plenty of tweets to show that too, I guess.
He
Since he loves to tweet against himself.
I'm gonna break your heart. I'm not a lover of Donald Trump. In a minute here. And then he was indicted in Georgia
I said
at the
briefly,
state
yeah.
level on RICO, racketeering, organized crime type charges for trying to like fix the election, right? Find me those votes.
Are there any more we expect?
I don't think so.
No?
Right? There's
And
one.
so-
There's something out of New York for
Yeah.
hush money and taxes.
Yeah,
and
that's what
I don't know
I'm
much about that
No
one.
more strippers?
She.
Well, strippers are not illegal.
They weren't strippers, they were
I
hookers.
think
There's
she
no-
was,
there's
well,
nothing
she,
illegal
she
about
was, she was
strippers.
she was an adult actress.
Also not illegal.
Kelly, you know?
I mean,
There's
That's
no
adorable.
issue. The president can have sex with porn stars.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's nothing illegal.
That's
about
what I'm
that.
saying. But
I have
no
no problem
what
with
was
that.
illegal?
I
But
understand
when-
Trump, but I have no problem with
But
the
when
fucking
you
porn stars.
allegedly
Like,
pay
this is not
hush
an
money
issue. Like,
through your
The
campaign,
crime
yeah.
was in the cover-up, my friend.
Yes.
Don't we all know that?
Isn't it always?
Isn't it
Well, I mean,
always?
only if he lies under oath. Otherwise,
Well,
it's not really illegal to cover up either. I don't tell everyone I had sex with
Well,
porn stars.
no, it
Like,
was-
what the fuck?
It was allegedly paid through the campaign. Like there's something.
Yeah,
there.
that's a whole other.
I honestly, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
shooting off the cuff a little bit. here with the Donald Trump stuff because it's just you're so overwhelmed with
No,
it, and
it's
you
so
don't know
much
is it a political hit, is it
Yeah.
justified, right? It's hard to kind of make sense of it all. I think the Washington D.C. the inciting the insurrection
You stole my next question.
is probably the weakest
Interesting.
from just kind of looking at it from afar because right it's like a disorderly intox or disorderly conduct. Like how are you really going to prove that that this guy's
Cause and
words
effects. Right, the cause and effect.
caused what ultimately
These other whack
happened?
jobs to go do what they were
Now listen, if some of those people have
Caballero.
sat down and cooperated and have
They
made
didn't meet at his
statements-
office and say we're all gonna meet
You
wherever,
hope.
and
You
we're
hope.
gonna. Have,
You
well,
hope.
I
Right, that's what I'm
assume
saying.
he's not-
Right, assuming none of these like people haven't turned or flipped, and or maybe his chief of staff, somebody provided an email, a text, pictures of a meeting that he was leading. It's going to be pretty hard to prove, I think, beyond a reasonable doubt
I
that
agree.
he incited that.
Yes.
Right now, the 47 bankers boxes in your little Palm Beach,
That you were flushing in the
estates.
bathroom? Like what?
That one gets a little tricky, and because you have two people that were kind of allegedly
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
directed to discard
So-
and destroy.
So in your
That have
opinion,
turned?
That they've
that
now
are,
been
that are
indicted.
state's
They've also
witness.
been indicted.
They've now been indicted. I'm assuming eventually
so do you think
they will cooperate.
do you think the Florida case is the strongest one so far?
Sounds like that's what
It
he's
seems like it because they have the co-defendants now.
Interesting.
And
that have been
everybody
indicted.
turns, these snitches. No.
I mean, and look, and I don't know much about Georgia, but you have phone calls on record,
Yeah.
and he was dealing with high-ranking party and elected officials in Georgia.
Yeah.
So the Georgia one might prove to be pretty strong
who knows,
too.
right?
It seems like the documents one,
But what is he
Is
accused
or
of in
should
Georgia? The
like
the
RICO,
one.
like racketeering,
Like
organized
To
crime.
fix the
he was trying to
election.
fix
Yeah,
the election.
But I mean,
Like, I
what
need
this
you
is
to
Don't
find
like.
you
me-
remember during the election
I need
there were
you
all
to
the
find
phone
me
calls,
11,000.
right, I need you to find me X number of votes
Right.
and
On
It was
the
recorded
perfect,
phone
the
calls,
perfect phone
that's
call.
for sure.
It was a perfect phone call.
allegedly.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Okay.
he says. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so when we talk about indictment, for anyone who doesn't know, what does that mean? What is indictment?
Since apparently Leslie doesn't know what arrest means, you might want to clarify.
Yeah, what's the difference?
So-
What's the differentiation there?
An indictment is a formal charge.
Okay.
Okay, and an indictment comes from a grand jury.
Right.
So a prosecutor takes a bunch of evidence in front of a panel of people known as a grand jury, and it could happen at the state level, although it's less common than at the federal level, and they present a case.
And it's private, right? Isn't
It's
it?
private.
Yeah.
There's no defense attorney. There's,
So you're done.
there's none of that, right?
You're
The
done.
prosecutors,
You don't even know this is happening half the time.
sometimes you do, sometimes you
Okay,
don't.
all right.
But the prosecutor's presenting a case, presenting evidence, presenting witnesses, presenting affidavits, and then the jury decides, we find that there's evidence to charge the defendant with this and this.
And what is the standard
this.
there? Not
There's an old saying that you can indict a ham sandwich.
okay.
Remember, it's not checked.
But the official standard is preponderance more
Reasonable
likely
doubt.
than
A
no.
good
Oh,
faith
reasonable
basis that
doubt.
they can get a conviction.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
But there's no defense attorney. There's nobody
Right.
there to check their evidence,
Yeah,
to
no, this is
cross-examine
this is a free
witness.
for all.
Right.
This
It's a
is a
free-for-all.
free for all.
You can indict a ham sandwich. Like it's
Definitely.
it's easy.
Definitely.
Right? So that's what an indictment is. Sometimes in federal
So-
cases you can agree to be charged by information.
Right.
Which is like, we got you, we can get you on so much more, but if you play nice, we'll limit it to just one charge and like on this piece of paper. We
So-
won't go to grand jury.
So they indict you, and then what? They show up at your house like, surprise! You have a right to remain silent.
So
everything you say can and move you
yeah,
against
so
you,
if if you're just a regular person,
yeah,
there's a very good chance they will. Usually indictments have multiple people on them.
yeah.
They will kind of go in unison, right at 4 o'clock in the
One can't
morning.
be notifying the other.
Right.
At 4 in the morning.
Oh, they
Well, 'cause
love.
that's how you're home. You're
they
home,
love
right?
4
I
or
mean,
5 a.m. like
exactly.
raids. The feds love that. So.
Wow.
When people be sleeping.
So 4 or 5 a.m. right? They
awful.
descend upon
Yeah,
right the mean
yeah.
streets of Westchester to
The
arrest.
mean streets of
No.
Westchester.
Yeah, to arrest the 10 people charged with Medicare
Oh yeah, Alex
fraud.
Rodriguez said that was the hood, okay?
That's Kendall. That's
Tranquilo.
Kendall.
Oh,
Let's, come on, let's not misrepresent. So, right, they descend on these people, right? Knock on the door, boom, boom, boom. Hey, here's a warrant. You're being arrested. They take you to FDC downtown. You're processed. That afternoon, you'll have your initial appearance in court. You can also, if you are Donald Trump and
Right.
They
a
call your
certain,
lawyer.
a certain level of
Come Thursday at
person, right?
2.
It's like, hey, grand jury came back with an indictment. Do you want to self-surrender? Make it easier on your client. There's no I'm kicking the door down while you're sleeping in your underwear at 4 a.m. kind of stuff going on, and you can self-surrender. That is an option.
Right.
Put on some makeup for the
Potentially.
For the perp walk.
For the mugshot.
for the mugshot.
Yeah. The perp walk.
Don't look ratchet. That's just gonna be on the internet.
So,
You know. Like,
so an indictment's a fancy way of saying a formal criminal charge.
Okay. All right. But so you can waive all that, right? Like if you're Donald Trump, you're not going to go get Mirandized and shit at your house, but
Right.
normal people would be, right?
So right, you can actually be contacted by law enforcement before you're even charged. Right, they're still investigating, and they want to talk. They want to get your side of the story. They want to ask you some
Yeah, they're good
questions.
people.
Right.
Yeah,
They're here to help.
Or they could,
actors. Like, what the fuck?
I'm the government and I'm here to help.
yeah. Or they can actually, you can have been indicted, you're arrested, right? Or at the state level, there's probable cause, they arrest you, and then they can try to interrogate you post-arrest.
Right.
So either way there, I think I know where you're going.
Uh-huh.
Either way there, they have to read you your Miranda
Right.
rights.
Which everyone
is-
should know at this point. I mean, it's like part of every Law and Order episode.
Come on
ever.
now.
Right. Which the funny thing is, a lot of people think, oh, they didn't read me my rights, my case is getting thrown out. That's not actually how it works. They only have to read you your rights if you're in custody and they're asking you questions.
If you blurt out stupid shit in the back of the vehicle,
That's a spontaneous statement.
A spontaneous
Which
statement.
there's no Miranda warning or
Right.
protections for it. Right.
right. Very good.
Yeah, so-
very good. Everyone needs to
and-
keep their mouths shut.
Right. And especially somebody who doesn't know as much about the criminal justice system, like
Every
Leslie
time I watch
here.
one of these episodes of Law and
yeah.
Order, I get so pissed.
Yes.
Everybody just confesses. And I'm like, this can't happen in real life. And then I have conversations with Jenny. I'm like, no, this shit happens in real life. Like,
It
people
does.
go tell the police their problems. I'm like,
here's-
why?
Here's what happens, right?
That's all.
Why?
Somebody gets arrested, they feel like they're innocent. And they want to clear their name, they
Just
want to
like
just
they
give
wanna
their side
blow.
of the story. Well, because they don't know, right? Like, I know what's going to happen. Probable cause is going to be formed if it hasn't already been, and you're
Yeah,
going to go to
yeah,
jail
yeah.
regardless.
The deck is stacked against you, my
Sometimes
friend.
people there are like, they try to talk their way out of it. They're like, I have nothing to hide. I'm gonna say my story and I'm gonna go home. The other thing is why you should always invoke and remain silent. It's in the Constitution. It's a pretty big fucking deal. Use the goddamn thing and don't talk, right? Because here's the thing: they can lie to you during the damn interrogation.
Yeah.
So you can be 100% innocent. Right? I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That's crap. They're lying. I don't know what they're saying. And then they'll say something like, oh yeah? Well, I have this file here that has your DNA on it. Right? And then you're like,
Leslie said you pulled out the drug at that party.
right? And then now it's like, well, okay, but no, like there shouldn't be DNA because what really happened, and then now you're done. Because they can lie to you. They can legally lie to you, right? If I'm talking to a prosecutor on someone's behalf that's under investigation or whatnot, the prosecutor can't lie, right? We're attorneys, we have certain standards and ethics and codes and all this cool stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Now, they can
I thought
say,
they're still gonna lie to your face too. You're just
no,
not gonna
they
give a shit.
they can say like,
Shut.
look, I can't really discuss that at this time,
Oh.
or I'm not really gonna answer. But they can kind of, but you,
Skirt around.
yeah, but I do
You're
this
not
for
gonna
a
bullshit
living.
me,
I
right?
kind of know. I
What that
can
means.
see the writing on the wall. I can read
Yes.
between the
Yeah,
lines,
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
cliche,
yes.
right? Like, you know, John the detective could say whatever. And then here's the other thing. Sometimes
Your mama said.
like I could be
Definitely your
answering.
baby mama said.
I could be
The
answering.
baby
100
mama always says.
Always.
The baby mamas are the worst.
The neighbor and the baby mama, man. They're responsible for more.
El comité. El
They're
comité.
responsible for more convictions than anybody on the face of the earth.
Man.
No, here's the thing too. Like you could be telling the truth 100%. You're just not answering the question that they want you to answer, right? The example we give our clients all the time: what color is the sky? The answer, right, commonly is it's blue. But what if they're
The
asking?
answer is call my fucking attorney and ask your question, bitch.
Right, but they're asking you about something that happened at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's no fucking way the sky's blue. You think you're answering innocently and correctly. This person's like, yep, he lied.
He lied.
Boom, boom.
The sky was dark. Like,
That's why it kind of depends on the question. So you should never answer because they're not showing you all their cards. They're lying to you. They're allowed to lie to you. The answer is call my attorney.
Yes.
And you call your attorney at the beginning.
Not when shit
You
goes
don't do it
sideways.
halfway through. You don't do it when you're uncomfortable after 47 minutes in that little room freezing your ass
You
off.
see these Netflix documentaries?
Oh,
16 hours
Yes.
later.
That's what they do.
When they're like crying on the table, like,
Yeah,
I
right.
confessed to being the
Unabomber.
uniform. I killed her.
Listen, do you know how much time? Do you know how much time we've wasted reviewing body camera or surveillance
man.
in the interrogation
Oh
room,
man.
where our client is just falling asleep, asking for a cup of water, and then right when he's
I
like,
can't. If I practice
come
Australian
in.
law, I lose sleep at night. I
they,
can't.
they come in. Hey, so listen, let's talk.
Like,
And
so you
then
want to
they'll-
go home.
And then they'll read,
Dig in.
them the Miranda, and then they'll mess it up too, right? Because they'll editorialize it. They're like, "Oh, read this out loud and initial if you understand what it says." So they're like, "I have the right to remain silent." Blah blah blah. Initially, you understand what that is? I do. And then the detective will. So what that means is we're gonna have a conversation. And at any point, no, that's wrong. We only get to have a conversation if you decide you want to have a conversation. So they editorialize the shit, I think, to get you to talk too. But that's fine because now they're giving us fodder to get the
I
statements
used to
thrown out.
I used to tell my clients all the time, there's only 2 questions you should be asking if someone takes you away. And this is true, I think, for criminal or immigration or anything else. It's number 1, am I actually under arrest, right? Because if I ain't going with you. Like,
Yeah.
bye.
And
And
I'm like,
number 2, if I am under arrest, how can I call my attorney right now? That's it. Only 2 questions,
Yeah.
only 2 conversations ever you need to have. So, anyway, any final thoughts for our listening audience? And wow. There's been a lot today. We've learned a lot.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot.
No, this was fun. Thank you
I
both.
thought they gave breathalyzer on the side of the road, like to everybody.
Oh, no, now they have these souped up Ford Explorers with built-in breathalyzers.
Oh.
But they're not really giving them to you like on the side of the road. You'll do it like at a Dompang parking lot.
Oh, don't
Get classy.
Yeah.
Get classy, Miami-Dade,
yeah.
Popo.
Stay classy, Miami.
Look,
A sunny place for shady people.
yeah. Look, closing thoughts. Don't give the government any evidence that they can
Ever.
possibly use against you.
That's right.
Field sobriety, breathalyzers, statements, confessions. Shut your mouth. Ask for your lawyer. Go on your way. I promise you it's not going to change the fact that you're getting arrested.
The end. Ciao,
The
ciao.
end.
Don't say
Yeah.
shit. Awesome. Thank you
That's
so
it.
much
Thank
for
you,
coming
guys.
today, Danny. Thank you for coming, and for everyone listening. Tune in next time for the next Law Shit You Should Know podcast. Take care.